Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Power Rankings. It is I, your commissioner, Nick. As week 11, playoff races are heating up. We're going to focus on that a lot today. With that being said, let's get right into those rankings. Whoop! Whoop! Number 12, The Pretender. I'm not going to spend much time on this because this just sucks. My team comes in at number 12 because there's no other excuses at this point. Carson Wentz is garbage. I have no receivers. My tight ends never score. And if it weren't for Kamara, my kicker would have led my team in points this week. Just embarrassing right now. Moving on. Number 11. Whoop! Team Never Lucky. The reigning, defending, undisputed champion of bad company, Dan, comes in at number 11 after suffering his 5th straight loss. Dan's team started off so strong, even without Michael Thomas, but they just don't have it this year. Dan has a brutal schedule ahead as he faces Harambe, Borat, and Beans to close the year. I think Dan is done winning this season. Number 10. The Kentucky Wildcats. Brad's team lost to Borat this week, just like everybody else has. Now 3-7 on the year, Brad is on his last life here. Brad basically needs to win out to make the playoffs, but hey, crazier things have happened. Not an easy schedule ahead with Beans, Luke, and Lance to close the year. You might only be playing to avoid the punishment at this point. Number 9. Whoop! Bad luck, Jerry. Let me tell you, folks, no one could possibly feel as good as Jerry does with this team of misfits. This is like the 2014-15 Buffalo Sabres when they were tanking for McDavid. Absolutely trash roster, but Jerry, aka Ted Nolan, is leading this group to success and quite possibly even make the playoffs. He's got a chance to win this week against Ryan as well, who we all know is second last in total points. After that, he's got Harambe and Borat, which isn't going to be easy, so he needs to win this week in order to make the playoffs. Number 8. Poppy's prized possession. Brophy's team continued their losing streak as well, and he now falls to 5-5. Nice try replacing the struggling Mark Andrews at tight end, but Austin Pooper wasn't any better. Not too long ago, this team was 5-2 and looking like a lock to make the playoffs, but Brophy has the most difficult schedule the rest of the season, facing each of the top 3 teams in total points scored. However, if Aaron Jones can get it going and Joe Mixon gets healthy again, this team should be able to squeak one win out of those games and make the playoffs. Number 7. King of the Hill V2. Luke's team lost a heartbreaker this week against One Legends Rise, and now Mr. 500 might have to win out to make the playoffs. Fortunately, he has a pretty easy schedule. He faces my team this week, so that's a win. Then he faces Brad and Brophy, all winnable games. If he can pull that off, he'll also maintain his Mr. 500 nickname. Number 6. Whoop! The Process. DeAndre Hopkins' catch may have crushed every Bills fan, but it sealed the win for Ryan's team this week as he took down Team Never Lucky. Despite this team's lack of offense, the Process is 5-5 and should feel a little more comfortable about making the playoffs. Ryan really only has one win left to get in order to make the playoffs, and he faces Jerry, Frank, and myself, so I think he's got a chance there. I also like Ryan's trade last week acquiring James Conner and Cooper Kupp, who are both overdue to have a big game. Number 5. Maybe next year. Lance's team suffered an embarrassing loss this week to Bad Luck Jerry, falling to 6-4 on the year. Nick Chubb made his return from the IR and had a good game, but the rest of the team was really underwhelming. Luckily, Lance got some help this week from around the league and has officially clinched a playoff spot for the first time. Now, Patrick Mahomes returns off the bye to lead this gritty team against When Legends Rise in what could be a surprising playoff preview. Number 4. When Legends Rise. When Legends Rise pulled off another comeback in a night game as the Vikings defense scored just enough to defeat Luke's team. This is at least the 3rd time that's happened this year. But now my dad's team sits at 6-4 and has officially clinched a playoff spot for the first time. Now let's see if my dad can hold on to win the division. This week he faces Lance, and then after that he's got Ryan and Harambe to close out the year. Should be interesting. Number 3. R.I.P. Harambe. Oliver's team, who was ranked dead last just a number of weeks ago, is now in the 3 spot in our rankings after winning his 3rd straight game. This team has a lot going for them, an easy schedule, high points per game, and already owning the 7th seed in the playoffs. Harambe will face Dan this week in what should be a win, but then he faces Jerry and Frank, who have both already beaten him. Most important thing for this team is to not get ahead of themselves. A win this week would go a long way in keeping that playoff streak alive. Number 2, Beans eating beans. Beans won again this week, defeating my team decisively without Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Todd Gurley, and Travis Kelce. Juju Smith-Schuster and Rex Burkhead each picked up the slack, combining for nearly 50 points. Beans is now 7-3 on the year and continues to maintain his hold on the 3 seed for the playoffs. And number 1, Bora, very nice. Hunter defeated bitter rival Brad this week to remain unbeaten at 10-0 on the year. He even did this without his top 2 playmakers in Ezekiel Elliott and Calvin Ridley, who were on byes. Just 3 weeks left in the regular season. Hunter has Brophy, Dan, and Jerry to end the year. If he beats Brophy this week, Hunter should be the first team to go undefeated in the regular season since Ryan did it in 2016. So here's a look at the playoff bracket after week 10. Not too many changes here, but I actually have a better picture to help depict where every team stands at this moment. So I found this table online that used standard deviations and other mathematical formulas to calculate the chances every team has at finishing in each position. So as you can see, Hunter has a 100% chance at finishing in the first position at the end of the regular season, meaning he has clinched the number 1 seed in the playoffs. All the way on the right, you can see Beans, Frank, and Lance are in gold, and they have also clinched a playoff spot because their totals inside the top 8 equal 100. Going down from there, we see every team's chance at making the playoffs. So notably, Brophy has a 66% chance of making the playoffs, despite where he stands in the rankings. The team with the highest chance of making the playoffs, who hasn't already clinched, is Oliver at 4-6, despite having a worse record than Ryan at 5-5. Right above him is Jerry with a 40% chance. 40% chance. Go crazy, Jerry fans. And if you look all the way at the bottom, I'm not sure whose team this is, but they only have a 2% chance of making the playoffs and a 75% chance at finishing in dead last. What a bum. I'll send a screenshot of this in the group chat for all of your reading pleasures because I'm sure most of you are going to want to take a closer look at this. So now, let's quickly run through some predictions before we wrap it up. My predictions went just 2-4 last week to bring my record to 33-27 on the year. So in our first matchup, we've got King of the Hill versus the Pretender. Obviously, I'm going to lose again because my team stinks. Then we're going to have the Kentucky Wildcats versus Beans Eating Beans. I'm going to take Beans Eating Beans. Then we've got the Process versus Bad Luck Jerry. This is going to be a close one. Going to be a trap game, low-scoring affair. Guess what, guys? I'm going to take Bad Luck Jerry. He's riding high right now. Go crazy, Jerry fans. Then we've got RIP Harambe versus Team Never Lucky. That's got to be RIP Harambe. Dan's not going to win another game this season. You heard it here first. Then we've got Borat Very Nice taking on Poppy's Prize Possession. Borat is going to remain undefeated here, pick up the win. And in the game of the week, we've got an unlikely playoff preview here. It's Lance's maybe next year versus Frank's When Legends Rise. Both teams are 6-4, right in the middle of the pack in points per game. My dad beat Hunter's dad in the only prior matchup between these teams. So to even it out, I'm going to take Lance to pick up the win this week in the game of the week. And that's all I've got for you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this week's show. Good luck this week.